What if I told you the strangest places on Earth are not hidden in Tibet, Egypt, or the Amazon? What if some of them are right here, inside the United States? A desert zone where compasses fail. A mountain where people vanish without a trace. A military base so restricted that even satellite images once looked suspicious. A lake that keeps giving back dead bodies from another time. And a forest where people report lights, voices, and something watching from between the trees. Tonight, we are not going overseas. Tonight, we are opening America's forbidden map. 8 places, 8 mysteries, and the deeper you go, the harder it becomes to separate science from something far older. The United States is one of the most mapped, photographed, and monitored countries on Earth. Every highway, forest, canyon, and mountain range has been scanned, measured, filmed, and uploaded. At least, that is what we are told. Because even in a country watched by satellites, drones, aircraft, and millions of smartphones, there are still places where the story breaks. Places where people disappear. Places where instruments behave strangely. Places where governments build fences, remove signs, block roads, and say nothing. And the first one begins in the Nevada desert, a place that officially did not exist for decades, Area 51. For most of the 20th century, the government refused to even acknowledge it. No public tours, no clear answers, no open records. Just warning signs, armed guards, motion sensors, and one message written in plain English. Use of deadly force authorized. Officially, Area 51 was built for aircraft testing, secret planes, spy technology, Cold War projects. And yes, that explanation makes sense. The U-2 spy plane was tested there. The SR-71 Blackbird came from classified aviation programs. Stealth technology needed empty skies and silence. But then the question becomes obvious. If it was only aircraft testing, why did the secrecy become almost religious? Why were workers flown in without normal identification? Why were documents buried for so long? Why did satellite photos once show strange runways, hidden hangars, and areas that looked erased from maps? And why did so many former workers speak in half sentences, not full confessions, not clean evidence, just fragments? Lights moving in ways planes should not move, materials stored under extreme security, rooms people were told never to enter. The official answer is always the same: classified aircraft. And maybe that is true. Maybe the whole mystery is just advanced human technology. But if that is all it was, why did America spend decades pretending the place was not even there? Area 51 is not mysterious because people claim aliens are inside. It is mysterious because a real place on real American soil was hidden in plain sight for generations. And if one base can disappear from public reality, what else can? But Nevada's mystery does not end with fences and guards, because a few hundred miles away, the desert gives us something stranger, a place with no military gate, no official guards, no restricted signs, just open land, and people who say the earth itself acts wrong. The Nevada Triangle. Between Las Vegas, Reno, and Fresno sits a massive region of mountains, desert, and empty sky. From the outside, it looks normal. Dry ridges, deep valleys, endless silence. But pilots know this area for something else: disappearances. Over the decades, hundreds of aircraft have crashed or vanished in this region. Some were small private planes, some were military. Some were flown by experienced pilots who had crossed worse terrain before. The official explanation is simple: bad weather, mountain winds, pilot error, and difficult terrain. And again, that explanation is real. The Sierra Nevada can create violent air currents. Desert heat can bend visibility. Mountains can trap aircraft with almost no warning. But then comes the uncomfortable part. Why this region? Why so many? Why do some wrecks remain missing for decades, even with modern search technology? The most famous case is Steve Fawcett, a billionaire adventurer, experienced pilot, a man who had survived extreme journeys across the planet. In 2007, he took off from Nevada in a small plane. The weather was clear, the flight was supposed to be simple. He vanished. Massive search teams scanned the desert and mountains, aircraft, satellites, ground crews. Nothing. For more than a year, there was no answer. Then, wreckage was finally found in the Sierra Nevada. But even after that, the mystery did not feel fully closed. How could one of the most searched-for men in America vanish for so long in a known region? The Nevada Triangle does not need monsters. It does not need aliens. The land itself is enough. A place where wind, rock, heat, and distance combine into something almost intelligent. But the desert is only one kind of silence. America has another, a silence made of trees. Deep in Vermont, there is a mountain range with a reputation locals do not joke about: the Bennington Triangle. Between 1945 and 1950, several people disappeared in the same region of southwestern Vermont. Not over centuries, not spread across the country. Within 5 years, in one area. A hunting guide vanished. A college student disappeared while walking. A young boy went missing from a truck. A woman vanished during a hike. Some were alone. Some were near other people. Some disappeared in daylight. Search teams came. Dogs were used. Locals helped. The forest gave back almost nothing. Officially, the explanations are practical. Bad weather, thick woods, accidents, exposure, animal activity. And yes, Vermont forests can be dangerous. Trails vanish, snow falls fast. One wrong turn can become fatal. But the pattern disturbed people, because some disappearances seemed too clean. No torn clothing, no clear tracks, no final call, no signs of struggle, just absence. The mountain at the center of many stories is Glastonbury Mountain. Old logging roads cut through the area. Abandoned settlements sit inside the woods. And people who hike there often describe the same feeling. The forest becomes too quiet. No birds, no insects, no wind, just pressure. Like something is listening. Science would call that psychology, isolation, fear response, pattern recognition, a human brain trying to survive in unfamiliar terrain. But then why do so many people describe the same silence? Why does one region collect stories like a magnet? And why do some searchers say the woods felt less like a place and more like a boundary? The Bennington Triangle remains unsolved not because every case is paranormal, but because the official answers never fully explain the pattern. And patterns are where mysteries begin. From Vermont, we move south, to a place millions have heard of, but very few understand. The Great Smoky Mountains. Beautiful, ancient, covered in blue haze. But inside this beauty is one of America's most disturbing categories of mystery: people who vanish in national parks. Every year, hikers disappear across the United States. Most are found. Some are not. But the Smokies have produced stories that feel different. Children vanish within minutes. Experienced hikers lose the trail in familiar areas. Search teams hear strange sounds. Dogs suddenly lose scent. Officially, the reasons are clear: rough terrain, weather, injury, wild animals, and human error. That is the responsible explanation. But there are cases where even trained searchers struggle. A child disappears from a group. A person walks a short distance from camp. A hiker leaves the trail for seconds. Then nothing. No tracks, no clothing, no sound. The Smokies are among the oldest mountains on Earth, older than the Rockies, older than the Himalayas. These mountains have been weathered down for hundreds of millions of years. Some researchers believe old landscapes can confuse navigation in subtle ways. Repeating ridges, similar valleys, dense canopy, sound distortion. Your brain thinks you are walking straight. You are not. Your voice travels strangely. Your sense of distance collapses. That is science. But folklore says something else. Cherokee stories speak of hidden beings in the mountains, little people, spirit zones, places where a human can step across an unseen line and not return the same. Modern people laugh at old legends until the search dogs stop, until the trail ends, until the forest gives no answer. The Smokies do not feel forbidden because someone built a fence. They feel forbidden because nature itself seems to decide how far you are allowed to go. But some places do have fences, and the next one is not hidden in a forest. It sits in New Mexico, under blue sky, on dry land, where the first atomic bomb was tested. Trinity Site, July 16, 1945. Before Hiroshima, before Nagasaki, before the world understood nuclear fear. A group of scientists and military officials stood in the desert and watched the first nuclear explosion in human history. The flash was brighter than sunrise. The sand beneath the tower turned into green glass. They called it trinitite, a new material created in seconds by heat, pressure, and violence. Officially, Trinity Site is not a mystery. It is history. The Manhattan Project, physics, war, human invention. But the mystery is not whether the bomb happened. The mystery is what it changed. Some scientists feared the explosion could ignite the atmosphere. The calculations said it would not. They proceeded. The world survived. But think about that. For a moment, human beings stood in the desert and triggered a force they were not completely sure they understood. After the blast, strange reports spread. Animals behaving differently. Residents downwind later claiming health problems. Soil and glass carrying radioactive memory. The government gave explanations. Some reports were studied. Some were minimized. Some were buried in paperwork. Today, visitors can only enter Trinity Site on limited dates. A place where modern humanity crossed the line is open, but only barely. The desert still holds the mark. The tower is gone, the blast is gone, the men are gone. But the ground remembers. And once you create a place where the earth itself has been transformed, you have not just made history. You have made a warning. But America's forbidden map is not only military and nuclear. Sometimes the mystery is older. Much older. In Ohio, there is a massive ancient earthwork shaped like a serpent. Serpent Mound. From above, it looks impossible to ignore. A giant snake winding across the land, its mouth open, its body curved with strange precision, its tail coiled. Officially, Serpent Mound was built by ancient Native American cultures. That is true. It is not alien, it is not fantasy. It is human work. But the questions remain. Who built it exactly? Why this shape? Why this location? Why does it align with celestial events? Researchers have connected parts of the mound to solstices, lunar cycles, and sky observations. Some believe the site was ceremonial. Others think it marked cosmic events. Some point to the possibility that the serpent symbol represented death, rebirth, power, or the underworld. Science can describe the dirt. Archaeology can date samples, but meaning is harder to excavate. And Serpent Mound has another strange layer. It sits near an ancient impact structure, a place where, long ago, something from space struck the Earth. So here we have a giant serpent built on wounded ground, aligned with the sky, by people whose full belief system is no longer available to us. That is not a conspiracy. That is a real historical silence. The mound is not forbidden because no one can visit it. It is forbidden because its true meaning may be locked inside a worldview we can no longer fully enter. And that may be more haunting than any locked door. From ancient earthworks, we move west, to California, to a place where death is not just a name, it is a warning. Death Valley, the hottest place in North America, a basin below sea level, dry, brutal, endless. People come for beauty, but the valley has a way of turning beauty into danger. One of its strangest mysteries sits at Racetrack Playa, a dry lake bed where rocks move by themselves. For years, people found stones scattered across the flat desert floor. Behind them were long trails, some straight, some curved, some crossing each other. No footprints, no animal tracks, no obvious force. The rocks had moved. For decades, theories came and went. Magnetic fields, strong winds, earth vibrations, unknown forces. Finally, scientists found a natural explanation. Thin sheets of ice form under rare conditions. Wind pushes the ice pushes the stones. The rocks slide slowly across the mud. Mystery solved. Or at least one mystery solved. But Death Valley does not stop there. The deeper question is why this place produces so many extremes. Moving rocks, deadly heat, strange mirages, ghost towns, mines that swallowed men, military testing zones nearby, native stories tied to survival and spirit. Death Valley is a landscape that constantly reminds humans they are temporary. You can explain the rocks, you can measure the heat, you can map the basin, but when you stand there, surrounded by silence, salt, and sky, the explanation does not make the place feel normal. It makes it feel even stranger. Because sometimes science explains the mechanism, but not the feeling. And Death Valley feels like a place built to erase the careless. But now we go north, to a lake that looks calm on the surface, while holding something dark underneath. Lake Mead, created by Hoover Dam, a symbol of American engineering, a reservoir that helped build the modern Southwest. Las Vegas drinks from it. Cities depend on it. Millions have seen it. But as drought lowered the water level, Lake Mead began revealing secrets. Boats emerged from the mud. Lost objects returned. And then, human remains. Some accidental, some old, some suspicious. A barrel was found with a body inside. Investigators connected it to decades-old criminal activity. Suddenly, the lake was not just a reservoir. It became an archive, a place where water had hidden American secrets for generations. Officially, this is explainable. People drown, crimes happen, bodies sink. Low water reveals what was lost. But that is exactly what makes it disturbing. Because Lake Mead is not supernatural. It is worse. It is real. A man-made lake built over old land, fed by a river, surrounded by desert, connected to money, casinos, crime, construction, politics, and survival. When the water was high, the lake looked peaceful. When the water dropped, the past came back. And that raises a question America does not like asking. How many places only look clean because the water has not gone down yet? Lake Mead is not forbidden by guards. It is forbidden by depth, and depth always keeps a record. But the final place on this list is different. It is not a base, not a mountain, not a lake. It is a region. A stretch of land in Utah that has become one of the most studied and controversial mystery zones in America. Skinwalker Ranch. The name alone sounds like folklore, and it is tied to native stories of shape-shifting entities, curses, and dangerous land. For decades, ranchers and investigators have reported strange events there. Lights in the sky, animals found mutilated, objects moving. Electronic equipment failing, voices, shadows, sudden fear. Official science remains cautious. And it should. Extraordinary claims need evidence. Many stories are anecdotal. Some could be misidentification. Some could be hoaxes. Some could be stress, fear, animals, weather, or technology. But then comes the problem. The ranch attracted serious attention. Private research groups, security teams, scientists, government-linked investigations. Millions of dollars spent trying to understand what was happening there. Why? If it was only campfire stories, why did educated people keep returning? Why did instruments reportedly malfunction? Why did researchers describe events that were difficult to classify? The safe answer is this. Skinwalker Ranch is a perfect storm of folklore, psychology, unusual environmental conditions, media attention, and human expectation. That may be true, but it may not be complete. Because the strangest thing about Skinwalker Ranch is not one single event. It is the pattern. Different people, different years, different equipment, different reports, same land. And in mystery research, repetition matters. Maybe the ranch is not haunted. Maybe it is not cursed. Maybe there are no creatures in the dark. But something about that place makes people see, hear, record, fear, and question. And sometimes the most dangerous mystery is not the one that proves itself. It is the one that refuses to disappear. So what do these 8 places have in common? Area 51, the Nevada Triangle, the Bennington Triangle, the Great Smoky Mountains, Trinity Site, Serpent Mound, Death Valley, Lake Mead, Skinwalker Ranch. Some are scientific, some are historical, some are military, some are spiritual. Some may have normal explanations, some may never be fully explained. But each one exposes the same uncomfortable truth. America is not fully known. Not completely. Not really. There are still blank spaces, some on maps, some in archives, some underwater, some in forests, some inside government files, and some inside the human mind. We like to believe modern technology has ended mystery, that satellites have replaced legends, that science has closed every door. But maybe that is not true. Maybe mystery did not disappear. Maybe it just learned how to hide, inside places we think we already understand. So next time you look at a map of America, do not just look at the cities. Look at the empty spaces, the deserts, the forests, the restricted zones, the old mounds, the lakes dropping lower every year. Because sometimes the most forbidden places are not marked with warning signs. Sometimes they are marked by silence. And once you notice them, you can't unsee them. Which place disturbed you the most? Write the number in the comments. And if this file opened something in your mind, then stay close, because this is only the beginning.